So I haven't done a key mailer video in a while, and I intended to keep it that way until one of my partners said they were interested in this game. So naturally, here we are. Okay, let's get the legals out of the way. This key was provided to me by the devs through Keymailer. I have not been paid to say anything, nor have I been paid to make this video. As a result, I cannot be compelled to say nice things I do not mean. All opinions stated here are my own, and if you worry I may be biased, please see the one and only other time I have done one of these where I spent the entire video calling the game in question mid as fuck. With that all aside, we are the Whisperers, and I am your host, Fabaria Pendragon. Let's talk about Cubic Odyssey for a bit, starting with... You play as a valiant space knight? Your home has been overtaken by a corrupting space plague called the Red Darkness. Your ruler sends you and many like you to every corner of the galaxy to find a way to purge this darkness and restore peace to the galaxy. You, valiant and incredibly capable space knight, get dunked on almost immediately because you use ChatGPT to cheat your way through your pilot's course. Freshly, landed on your entirely intentional, yep, for sure, I totally meant to go here planet, your little robot buddy who actually knows how to do things pops up to help you out. Close enough. Welcome back, Bosco. Anyways, this little guy teaches you the very basic controls, which are kind of exactly what you expect from a game that looks like, well, this. But this is where my initial expectation was quickly exceeded. See, the game gives you instructions, but cuts you loose to do whatever pretty much immediately. You're not locked out of anything because you don't do it in the right order, save for repairing your main ship, since that actually requires everything else be done prior. For example, I saw this crashed speeder that landed near me, and immediately ignored all other objectives in lieu of repairing it. The game did nothing to stop me, and when I eventually reached the point where that was my actual intended objective, much later by the way, the game just checked and went, oh, okay, you already have one. Cool. And moved me on to the next objective without a word. This happens again when you get off your first planet. You're provided a few suggestions and various options, but then told very explicitly that you're free to do whatever. This is how it should be done, folks. Good start. And now that we are exploring proper... Now I will say outright, this is where I have some mixed feelings. The grounded movement initially feels kinda rough, in my opinion. I think the jump could do with a bit more forward momentum by default, the vertical motion of the jump feels a bit rigid, and I wish the jetpack kicked in just a touch faster at first, and then responded a little bit quicker once I was actually in the air to make it easier to feather my thrust. Now granted, this is one of the major ways that setting expectations is fairly important. The fact that this is not Minecraft, and you can't expect every blocky-looking game to feel the same movement-wise. A lot of games do this exact same thing, where your movement starts relatively weak, but grows over time, both in direct power and in the number of movement options. And once I got myself to stop trying to do Minecraft ladder parkour, go figure, it was easier to get used to. That all said, once you get your first speeder, things improve drastically, which made me feel rewarded for branching off from the main path, allowing me to prioritize what I as a player felt I needed most of the time, being better movement options, instead of punishing me or preventing it entirely. The jetpack helps a lot as well, and further suit upgrades do improve your move speed as well as your armor. But overall, my first piece of minor feedback is that I would love to see default level 1 grounded movement feel just a little bit better on its own. Doesn't have to be super good for long distance traversal. We have tools for that for a reason, and they should have their place in our kit. And as much as I love movement tech, I don't want Titanfall or Ultra Kill movement, or even new movement options at all. Just some minor improvements to the existing standard grounded movement, like improving the feel of jumping I mentioned earlier. Now, the rest of exploration? It rocks. I really like the world gen I've seen so far. Speeders feel alright and you can shoot while riding them. Ships feel good. Cities and outposts are functional and have uses both beneficial and harmful, depending on if it's controlled by pirates. Oh yeah, the pirates! So they have these outposts you can raid, and there's a few different types, and they generally feel pretty good to fight. And they can also be camped out in areas you need to get to, so you have to find out how to deal with them, and... Oh. Yeah, I really did roll up with nothing but a pistol, yeah, so... Okay, how do we deal with these pricks? Your jetpack, speeder, and ship obviously aren't your only pieces of gear. Hell, I skipped getting my drill at first in lieu of a gun, but at this point we need some better firepower, and thankfully we have options. But those options require materials, and those materials can be hard to find. So what do we do? Well, I know I made the Bosco joke earlier, but it is indeed time to play Deep Rock Galactic. Discovering an ore for the first time will unlock the ability for your drone to scan for it like a Shadow the Hedgehog looking for that damn 4th Chaos Emerald. If you haven't discovered what you need, you can scan for any material within that tier, which is a good way to fill out that list. This means material acquisition typically boils down to look up what you want, see what it's made of, scan for that material, and get that material. I absolutely love this because you're still limited by the scarcity of what materials are actually there, but you're not spending forever in a cave getting anything but what you want, and caves are still fairly decent. That said, they can be a bit hit or miss, and my next piece of feedback is that I would like to see caves and structures as a whole be a bit more expansive. But I also haven't seen all the different types of world yet. For all I know, there's a world that's nothing but caves and caverns, and those underground pirate outposts also tend to have a decent bit of ore sitting around them. So we're gonna go ahead and put my good buddy the asterisk on that one. So, now we've got our materials, using an armory or traveling to Spoiler Temple if you followed your drone's advice, you can make all sorts of weapons both ranged and melee based on how you want to fight. And if you want to skip the DIY approach entirely and engage in currency-based trade like some kind of capitalist, then you can just buy all sorts of things. I even found a DeLorean speeder in my first city. I don't know if this is always here or what, but it was funny. But okay. I hear you, distant, disembodied voice of the comments. We've got our jetpacks for height, speeders for distance, and guns to keep us safe. But what about the I'll lead by saying this. Like everything else, the ship system is about as optional as it gets, which I love. You can choose to change exactly nothing about your ship and just upgrade its modules if and where needed. Buy other vessels that you want instead, scavenge fallen crafts from planets you visit, or build your own astral abomination block by block. And as someone who prefers to do the last of those, I still really like that the options remain for other types of players who maybe aren't looking for that level of detail. As far as shape goes, you can really have anything and use any block you want, which means you can, in fact, annihilate the red darkness in a giant fucking mushroom. Aside from visuals, ships can hold things like crafting stations and chests, so they can just be a transport between planets, a big moving cargo container, or go all the way and be your mobile fortress, which is what I intend to do by the time I'm done. The controls of the starting ship also feel solid. I haven't built my mega space base yet, so I can't tell you much about the upper limits of the system or how control changes with size, but the flight feels good even at the start, so it really should just get better with upgrades. You might notice I didn't talk about the multiplayer, and that is because I did not test it. I only got the one key, but from what I saw, the multiplayer did apparently launch in a bit of a rough spot early on. You know what else happened early on? Near immediate fixes to not only multiplayer issues, but to all sorts of bugs, and the addition of all sorts of quality of life features and gameplay improvements, all at a pace that was downright dizzying. So when I saw a Steam post of a roadmap, instead of my usual cautious optimism where, I hope it all comes true, but I kind of just expect delays and broken promises, I'm actually really hopeful. Wait, I'm sorry, does that say official mod support? Hell yeah, you love to see it. Cubic Odyssey has a strong foundation and is a ton of fun in its current state. And you've got to remember that just because the name Gaijin is slapped on as the publisher doesn't mean that this has a colossal team behind it, nor does it mean you'll be subjected to the snail's more questionable practices. As it stands now, I only have my small list of minor feedbacks, and everything else does it for me just fine. It's decently priced at 25 smackers, it's plenty of fun, my friends and I already have plans to possibly drop a couple hundred hours into it. So, Atypical Games, stand proud as the first key mailer game to get a positive rating from me. A random ass small creator that probably yaps too much for their own good. 4 out of 5. Not a must-buy, but worth the full price and a certifiably fun experience if you're into these kind of games. Genuinely, my only fear for this game's success is that people won't be able to set their expectations fairly and see this as anything but Minecraft meets No Man's Sky, which to me is really funny because in my eyes this game is just star-made, a game that basically nobody I know knows about and predates No Man's Sky by 2 years. But I'm getting sidetracked. My big takeaway is that you've got to go in willing to let this game be its own thing. So many voxel games tried to take the stage following the historic success of Minecraft, and they were all written off as knockoffs or lazy what-if Minecraft butts. And the ones that did show promise often suffered horrible development or management that doomed them to an early grave. Personally, I haven't seen a voxel game like this be taken seriously in quite a while. BattleBit did good at first, Shadows of Doubt is solid, and games like From the Depths and Teardown certainly have their dedicated fans, but kind of feels like that's it? And, well, that's a shame, because as a style, they're really cool, and I'd hate to see this one be added to that pile of failed Minecraft likes. So if it looks your speed, go give it an earnest shot. Thank you all so very much for hanging out this long and enduring the full brunt of my yap sesh. On modern YouTube, it's a miracle anyone makes it to the end. But if you are here, you had to have liked something, so, you know, the buttons. Press them if you feel like it, but honestly, I'd rather hear your thoughts. Talk to me some. And if you've played a lot already, tell us about your ship. I'm looking forward to maybe doing a Doom the Dark Ages challenge run or something if my PC can handle recording that game. And hopefully sometime soon I can wake Jake up long enough to finish the Terraria challenge run. Maybe even do something with Biomancy again if we get really lucky. But that's all from us. Thanks again. And we hope to see you all soon.